Well, hello, Diamonds. How are you? Are you shining today? Welcome. This is Elizabeth Diamond for the Diamonds Forever 31 show today, Saturday extended call for June 14th, 2014. We have an awesome show today. We did a little switching around. This date was held for the hemp show. We were going to do some astounding news on that, but we rescheduled because we have something else that came up, which is ahead of that. So we'll reschedule the hemp show for June 28th. And then as we're talking, June 21st is the Franco Di Nicolo. That's next Saturday. And we have Julian Wells with the Pleiadian update today. But before we get started, I want to just give a thank you and a shout-out to iqdcalls.com and dinargurus.com, who post the Diamonds information on their site. And I want to just welcome all of you that come from those sites. I just compliment you that you are willing now to, you just stumbled on, like I did, for your awakening, your full awakening. And today will really shake you up, full awakening in a good way. So I just want to caution you if you hear anything that kind of tweaks you inside, like you see you're holding your hand up and saying, oh, man, that's crazy. Just set it on the bookshelf and you'll come back to it in a later day, a piece of the puzzle. And I guarantee you, because a lot of us have gone through some of that journey and we kind of can look back and see how it fell into place for us. So, and also remember the Diamonds Forever 31, Diamonds Forever 31.blogspot.com is the blog spot. I just update every week on the world changes going into the golden age. And also, if you want to email, diamonds with an S forever 31@yahoo.com. So today's reference number for those who call on the phone, recording is available right after the call. This reference number show with Julian, the Pleiadian update, is 150. Yes, the Diamond Show has done 150 shows now, so 150 pound. So the recorded line is 209-255-1099, and then they'll ask for the PIN 883267 pound, and then the reference number, which is 150 pound. And you can listen to it via the phone. I will post the link to listen to it on the computer right after the show on the Diamonds blog, and we will get the show uploaded to YouTube soon after, right after the show too. So there'll be many facets how to listen. All right. Let me see where I want to start. I got a few updates before we start with Julian really quick, and then I have a few others after Julian's done. But we'll just go with the flow, you guys. This is the energies anyway that we're riding the wave, going with the flow. I want to bring this in. This is very short. This is a planetary situation update by Cobra, June 9th, 2014. Behind the scenes, the light forces are focusing on the defeat of the Chimera group. Not much intel about their operations will be given for obvious reasons. The only thing I can say is that the light forces have established many new bases in the inner solar system, especially in the asteroid belt, on Mars and the Moon, and many new motherships of the light forces are positioned on strategic positions inside the inner solar system. Smaller ships are positioned in vicinity of the Earth, with the current special emphasis on medium Earth orbit. It might be interesting to know that MEO, medium Earth orbit, is the orbit of GPS, GLONASS, and Galileo satellites. It is also interesting that Russia is shutting down their GPS stations. And then there's a link, and this is posted on the Diamonds blog. There is much unusual activity in the space near our planet, and mid-level management of the cabal is being prepared for the reality of existence of extraterrestrial races. These revelations are bizarre for many of them. Wow. Now, this is interesting because this was posted, I think it was right after Julian gave his update, so about mid-management cabal. And we'll see about that. We'll ask some questions about that. Let me continue on. There are also some promising developments regarding the QEG over Unity device. That's some new free energy technology coming out. And there's a link to that. On the surface of the planet, the Eastern Alliance is working slowly but steadily to create an alternative financial structure to defeat and remove the petrodollar Illuminati military-industrial complex conglomerate. And there's links to that. More intel will be released when certain operations of the light forces are completed. So that was a Cobra update. And then the next one is just a couple paragraphs of a long story. I will put it on the blog, but I just want to encourage you guys, and you can comment on this too, Julian, anything I'm reading here before we start. Let's see, what is this labeled? This I just received today. The title is "The Devil's Brew Morphs into a Can of Worms." Wow. Anyway, I'm going to go all the way down to the end for some encouragement. Despite it all, humanity holds a key, epigenetics. As the study of epigenetics expands, researchers are finding out a lot about our DNA and genetics that we previously didn't know in the past. For one, we are realizing that we are not always a victim of our genes and that our experiences and thoughts, behavior, can make an impact on our DNA. Heart math researchers have conducted experiments that illustrate that physical aspects of DNA strands can be influenced by human intention. The article, Modulation of DNA Conformation by Heart-Focused Intention, McCready, Atkinson, Tomasian, 2003, describes experiments that achieved such results. In the experiment, an individual held 3 DNA samples and was directed to begin generating heart coherence. Heart coherence is referred to as a beneficial state of mental, emotional, and physical balance and harmony. As they created heart coherence with the aid of a heart math technique that utilizes heart breathing and intentional positive emotions, the individual was able to successively, intentionally unwind 2 of the DNA samples to different extents and leave the third unchanged. That was quote, unquote. In the case of heart math research, heart math founder Doc Childry believes it is the heart's intelligence that creates a connection energetically with DNA in order to intentionally adjust its structure. In theory, this same principle could explain how the same phenomenon is happening to water, cells, or other aspects of our reality. It turns out where there's a will, there's a way, is more than just a cliche. The engagement between the breath of life and heart-centered focus intent is key to humanity's liberation. Now, I just read that too. We learn who we really are on the Diamonds Forever 31 show, and you are very, very powerful beings. You, and you. And I want to now say hello to our brothers and sisters in the galactic wise, off of Earth, in other dimensions around Earth. Hi, guys. How are you? We love you from the Diamond Show. And, you know, I've been talking to you. And so now we have Julian. His synchronicity abounds. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay.
Hello, this is Julian.
Yes, Julian.
Hello, before we get started into the recording, are you going to share the same recording you did on Thursday?
Yes, and a little tiny bit more.
All right. I did keep some notes. I did want to share a little bit about the Cobra mid-management and some information about the DNA.
Yes, let's do that.
We'll get to that. But do you want to do that now?
Sure. Let's do that now. Well, and then we'll play the clip.
Okay. The mention of the mid-management adjustments, those likely are associated to what they understand as a shift within their system. of course, because of the absence of a large number of their members, that's one way that it can be explained pretty easily, simply because no one's actually replaced them. In almost all cases, they're really gone, and they didn't necessarily leave a memo on how to do their jobs or anything like that.
Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to continue on that.
Okay.
Should I play the clip now so people can understand before we go forward more? Is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
That's really good. Hey, I'm going to write that point down. They left their jobs, and other people don't know how to do it because what is that? In the Cabal, they just teach somebody a certain job, and they don't know, what is that called? A compartmentalization, right?
Yes.
Okay, really quick, Julian, I just want to tell everybody for the blog on the Diamonds blog, Wednesday, June 11th, because I blogged this Julian update, the very first one, twice. So the June 11th one, when you listen to the clip, you'll understand the whole hour and a half one if you already have. On the June 11th blog, I included the movie they talked about, Wreck-It Ralph, that you can watch. I haven't watched it all myself. And then I also included the big, long article of a link of it, of The Hidden Hand. So, if you're new to this or just stumbled on this information and it's very, very deep for you, just put it on the bookshelf, and that's okay. If you watch this movie in The Hidden Hand, it should help you in a fast, quick way catch up to where we're at and understand a little bit more. So, okay, and then that's the June 11th blog. So now let me play the clip of Pleiadian, Julian. We'll call him Julian Pleiadian. On his way home from work on last week, I believe June 6th was a Thursday, and he can let me know. And June 7th was Friday when they were supposed to pack up and get on board if they were. So let me play the clip of him receiving the news. It's like 10 minutes, so we can put this whole story together, and then we'll get the update and beyond. Here we go, guys.
I actually come across some really interesting things to contemplate, and I wanted to have an unbiased approach from everyone here to sort of powwow on a couple subjects. Now, they're kind of intense, so they're not for anyone. They can delve into things that are really, let's just say, triggers for some people. So this conversation may be a bit much. I don't know. But it's really for some heavy processing that I think all of us are kind of ready for. This is not necessarily individual processing, but what we can share from where we are, and we can see, what we discover through this conversation. So it's a powwow, I guess.
I've been to a lot of those.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds like fun to me.
Yeah, I imagine on the Opal Tour, this sort of thing happens all the time. This is just a virtual version of it. I did want to start off by something that happened that came to me. The Pleiadians gave me a really, really clear message on commute home from work today. I was with Crystal, so she can reflect on my reaction to it. They basically told me some really clear things. Either they told me some things, or I just became immediately aware of some things. Less so much like they're telling me, almost more like I was part of those involved in making it happen on some level. But what came to me, do you know what time it was? Was it like 5 o'clock maybe? 5 p.m.?
It was a little before 5, I think.
A little bit before 5. I'm just sharing this in case anyone can corroborate this would be ideal.
That's Pacific time, by the way.
Pacific time, so West Coast time.
2 hours away. 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours ago about. I don't even know how clear it was. It was almost as clear as if somebody had just told me and I was repeating it.
You equated it to almost like a mass email send out.
Yeah, kind of like a mass email type of feeling. Everyone's getting this memo. The Pleiadians have decided to shelter Cabal members that want to exit this game. And there was almost an immediate response of quite a few individuals that says, yes, I'll take that pass. And they essentially are to be picked up tomorrow night, Friday night, or start from picked up tomorrow night, Friday night. Well, they'll be just taken from the planet. And if you agree to some basic terms, essentially that you're not coming back unless you're in vibrational harmony with those awakening and the Lightworker community, you can ask to be picked up tomorrow evening, night.
Now these aren't people who just decided that that's what they want to do, but people who are in vibrational resonance with them, at least, to even be able to have that offer extended?
Well, the specific individuals are those who have been holding the contrast, specifically. I already got a key in on exactly how many accepted this invitation.
Wow.
It's approximately 23% of all those that have intentionally held the contrast, feeling it is the best thing for humanity. Now, that's one of the subjects I wanted to share and talk about, was the partners in contrast reality and exactly what they are. But I just wept like a baby.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. This space created by the Pleiadians for literally taking in people who have known that they've wanted to shift their polarity, but have been imprisoned in a system where they can only be one way.
Right, like their only value is to be like a rascal.
Right, a rascal or whatnot.
Right.
Rascal. Wow.
In addition, I actually connected very profoundly with a parallel life of mine, who was one of these individuals who appears to be taking this offer.
His name is also Julian.
His name happens to be Julian. I'm not going to say his last name,
Julian
but I said it before. Spelled with an A. He is I'm not going to give too much data. Maybe after tomorrow it might be a little safer to do so. But he's involved in stock market manipulation. That's been his modus operandi and his role, to flare up certain markets and share insider information that may not necessarily be true. And I actually felt from his perspective, he also has 2 daughters like I do, and he has a wife at the moment, and they're not going to go with him. It's up to him if he returns to a balance to return. He apparently has not disclosed to them how much involved he is. Now, he's not part of a family, but he's essentially a being that's been cornered into doing the role that he's doing.
Hold on a second. Excuse me for interrupting, but from my perspective, Julian, you're really breaking up, and I'll almost listen to it later when I get the recording to see what.
We want to make sure the sound is good, so always give feedback if you're not hearing well.
Sure. Okay. Cool.
Should we ask questions if we have them as we as you go, Julian?
Yeah. No, absolutely. At any point, I think this is the kind of group we can be open to interruption, to ping and clarify or ask questions. So did you have something at the moment, Dan?
Just the detail is this specific person, and then the others. I don't know if I missed it, but I don't think you clearly indicated whether or not they were requesting this shelter, or it was kind of offered to them?
No, it was an offer, an open offer as a solution by a particular Pleiadian group.
So basically, it's there's, you know, amongst the people who are in the cabal or our partners in contrast, there's a percentage of them who are wanting to kind of turn over a new leaf.
Yes.
And so the Pleiadians kind of came in and said, we'll help disperse the density of this group by kicking out those who...
Well, not for the purpose of dispersing the density of the group, but to give people a chance to get out, essentially.
And to not feel threatened by the population that is, looking to draw and quarter them.
That's right. They will basically...
The writing on the wall. They were told the writing is on the wall.
Mm-mm.
That's a good...
Actually.
Yeah, that's a good terminology. And I'm getting it starting tomorrow night, or maybe all tomorrow night is the pack-up date.
That is so cool.
Wow.
From one angle, I can imagine a large amount of destabilization of their structure.
24% is a huge number.
23%.
Huge number, because we're talking millions.
I'm getting that this is actually not millions.
Well, no, I mean that the whole group is millions, and 24% is quite a large number. Unless we're talking about only like a particular
number. I'm going to tell you the exact number is about 54,000.
Okay, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
God, that's huge.
It may require a more specific definition of those that are getting this sort of email. I believe it is the type of individual that can access this information. Mm-hmm. So it would be a particular echelon, perhaps.
Right.
But
some of these people aren't in public necessarily. They don't have public lives so much as where they're doing this work, like the stock trader. Or are they on that sort of a level of activity?
I'm getting a very large gamut. Maybe it's...
That makes sense.
My feeling and the sense that I'm getting is that it's like a certain tier of aware individual within their own pyramid system.
And these people aren't to be like replaced or copied in some way. Like they're just going to go.
No, they're going to vanish from the earth.
Well, okay.
They're just going to go missing.
Okay.
So will some kind of cover be provided for them? I guess that's why I was wondering about how public these lives were.
I'm getting it'll be sort of like the pieces will fall where they may.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is going to create so much, like, I would say it's drama, chaos.
It could very well,
which is wonderful.
be what is it, the thing that breaks the camel's back?
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone who's not part of that is going to know it happened, and that's going to create a crazy cascade.
Yeah.
Of choices, whatever they will be.
Well, if it's not a catalyst, I don't know what it is.
Right.
Right.
But the primary intent via the side of the Pleiadians is that a space is created for healing and for reawakening to their light selves without having to go with the others towards a negative polarity reality.
Right. Wow. So they're going to get to skip that whole force density negative thing.
I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Are you referring to the article that I pointed out?
Yeah.
Read. Well, we can start talking about that article a little bit, if you'd like. So you read it. Sherry, did you read it? Dan, did you catch on to this article?
I think I saw it some time ago. I didn't dabble back into it, though, honestly.
Well,
just for your information, I've read it twice before. and I read it in full just yesterday. So I'm very up on it, and now I am. And I was able to integrate it in a way because my vibration's different now than it was before. I was able to get many layers of what was going on with it, and it was actually quite a joy to read.
I'm sure you could see things within it, probably reading it now, that you know that your average reader would just not see. Like things will not be in perspective, per se.
Yeah.
Relative to you live your own individual truth and reality. Because on one level, they live from a place where everything is still an invitation, even though it feels that it's not for so many people. It's because we've accepted invitation after invitation after invitation. We feel that we are locked into their choice of how things are going to operate here on Earth. But ultimately, when anyone basically takes their sovereignty over every action that they live, including how they will act within a reality established in contrast to maybe what their heart says, they have no power over you. They really don't.
That was really well said. Yeah, that's why I could never get past the first page. I tried.
Okay. And thus, that'll be my 2 little articles I read when we take our sovereignty back, to encourage you at the end of this call. And welcome, Julian Wells, and the Pleiadian friend. And just know, everybody, we all are friends of our galactic brothers and sisters. We just don't know it yet, or we're waking up to it, and we're working towards, the path that where Julian is at right now. And what an astounding development in these golden ages changes that we're in the heat of the transition now. So now we're going to continue with the rest of what Julian has received from the Pleiadians and discovered regarding this story and beyond, I'm sure, the rest of the week. So welcome, Julian, my friend. Are you there?
Well, hello. Glad to be here. I was going to share some stuff that I received about the middle of last week that I shared with the group, but we didn't record it. So a lot of this will be not new to those who were present on the phone call. We were on Skype the first time, so we recorded that, but we were on the phone, so we didn't record it again. And there's been a couple additional developments. Basically, the tally of those that ended up going for one reason or another was just under 11,000, 71. And there's many reasons for why many of them didn't go. Change of heart, or had doubts, or the fact that the message was a mass message, and it gave time for those who wanted to sort of ask them not to go. Those within the cabal structure tried to basically pull back so that they would not leave. Almost like, in some cases, ultimatums if they did, like, if you leave, we'll kill your family, things like that. So some of the validation that I received Saturday morning was waking up from a night full of dreams for all different sorts of people's experiences that they were going through during and before actually getting picked up. Also, the experience that my parallel soul twin was going through, the one that I mentioned in the recording earlier that I had a connection with. And I got to see his anxiety and just sort of like the path that he went through. So I figured I'd share a little bit what that was like for him so that people can hear how he was extremely afraid and extremely nervous, mostly afraid for his family. He ended up getting together with a couple other people that he knew wanted to go. They basically discussed it. They're very close friends, more close as friends than they were to the pyramid structure they were in. And they
Julian?
went. Yes.
Just to clarify, now this is the stock trader.
Yes.
That you're talking about. His name is Julian too, and you guys can hear that in the full audio that's posted on the blog to catch up with I recommend fully to listen, if you haven't, to the one before this and put it all together. So continue on, Julian. Thanks.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it as fully explained as possible, just in case people are still new to this. So he ended up going to upstate New York to a farm with these other individuals, and I remember pretty clearly the experience, because when I was in dream state, I can be dismissive of a lot of things that would make it hard for me to remember. When I woke up, I intentionally decided not to get up quickly so that I can review and I can share what came up, so it'd make it a lot easier to remember and whatnot. So he ended up going to a farm in upstate New York, and he brought his family with him, and they have like these radio setups and these sort of computers. They have an ability to access a private satellite network. It's like a Cobra satellite network or something, and basically they ended up finding him, even though he was in communication. He figured on such a short notice that he could speak with other people that were planning on potentially going. He also was hoping to use this system because he wasn't sure exactly how to meet the Pleiadians and how to reach them, so he wanted to have all the equipment that he could have to detect and possibly communicate with them, because he, although he got the message and he believed it fully, he knew that he was also taking a risk, so he wanted to have more tools to give as evidence. But the entire time he was very nervous, and so were his friends. And he ended up going out for some reason with his youngest daughter, and coming back to the farmhouse, finding that it had been ransacked, and that his friends were not there, and a lot of the equipment that he was using was taken. So he got extremely nervous and basically assumed that there was a hit out on him and his family. So he ran out to the woods and attempted to hide, knowing that, if there's a hit out on him, he's already dead, and there's really nothing stopping that from happening. And still the anxiety of not knowing when the ship might show up. So essentially he almost lobotomized himself mentally and absolved himself, as many of them are trained to do, to know when death is there, to just sort of like open up and accept it. But still the anxiety holding his younger daughter in his arms, he wanted to know that she was going to be safe. She detected that he was not as grounded as he normally is, and basically told him that it's okay. She actually reassured him, it's okay, do what you've got to do. And he told her briefly that he was going to be leaving, that some spaceships, his friends, were going to come get him. And she said, that is great. And she asked if she was going to go too, and they had a heartfelt moment where he had to tell her that she was not going to be going, but he was going to try to come back and see her again. And she took it straight up and didn't cry, and basically understood right away, and basically told him to go do this. And at that, almost right after that, when it appeared like the entire world was coming down, I mean, they were revealing a level of communication that they never really had. They didn't have that level of connection. As you recall, they never felt more connected. And what appeared to be some sort of like cataclysm of like the ground shaking, and I got a lot of symbology of lava coming up through the ground, as if he's going through his own apocalyptic type moment. That is when the ship came down through the clouds. It was a very specific shaped ship, although I can describe it as something like 3 large teardrops with like saucer rings around them, but it was like 3 large teardrop type shapes stacked on top of each other. So it was kind of a vertical, it was vertically more tall, and it landed directly on its bottom, its round bottom, on the ground not too far away, and there were beings that came out, and as I was sharing with the group earlier in the week, the beings that came out, he couldn't quite understand exactly what he was seeing. He was seeing humans with 2 sets of legs, so basically 4 legs, but, you know, the same from the waist up. And they looked just like human people. And there's even when there was a child, so there was like 3 or 4 people that came over to him, and he basically lost all his nervousness as the ship was coming, and he became very calm, and so did his daughter. And although he remembered that his other daughter and his wife had gone out for errands, he assumed essentially that he assumed, but now he felt more confirmed that they were fine, that they weren't near the area, that they were still out doing errands, and they just missed their last opportunity to say goodbye to him. So the younger daughter said that she would pass on the message and explain to them what had gone on. So he felt comfortable, and he felt that she was actually going to be safe. He wasn't going to leave until he felt that she was actually safe.
Wow.
So he went up to the Pleiadians. He felt immediately reassured that everything was working out, everything was in divine planning, and that everything was perfect. And and so he went off with them. I did want to explain since then with the Pleiadians how they explained the appearance for that Julian to see 4 legs, and that was a technology that they used to be able to actually inhabit this density on the planet. So it would appear that they're sort of having a type of technology that makes them look like they have 4 legs, but it's a little bit more like having training wheels on your bike sort of thing, because the density calibration didn't have a chance to go through immediately. And these Pleiadians specifically had never actually stood on the planet before. But they entered into basically a transport ship that can hold quite a large number, thousands of people in it, and they basically made multiple stops, Santa Claus style. And
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So that was throughout the night, and there were multiple ships, and they ended up picking up the near 11,000 beings. And I wanted to share what I've been told from the Pleiadians is their experience aboard the Pleiadian ship, unless you had some questions up to this point.
Well, I just kind of want to review that. This is astounding already, and we just started, Julian. Thank you so much for sharing. I can, and I know a lot of other people can tell in their heart space that this is straight from your heart and straight up what you saw, because, people just can tell. And some things you just can't make up, First of all, I just wanted to comment on, even the cabal, even the bad guys, but they're all us, you guys. We're all one, whether bad or good. We're all human beings. We all come from the same creator, and we're all one. So we got to get to the point now, forgiveness and, understanding, compassion, empathy. But so even they have fear and anxiety within their own little world, I'll just say. And regarding his daughter that
he's a lot of fear in their world, yeah. The pyramid structure is designed to hold by fear, actually.
Yeah, so more so than even in our world, we'll just say, kind of, but we're still on the same earth. And this is good that we're learning and understanding this now and having the knowledge so we can have the compassion, understanding, and empathy so we can come together as unity. That to me right there is the awesome magnitude of the tipping point that's happening now in our transition. This is an awesome news that we're all coming together, because the transition can't fully happen unless we're all unitedized, so to speak. Huh?
Well, yeah, having greater empathy for our fellow being. That's been one of the challenges of the human since the beginning is how can we work together? How can we understand each other? How can we allow each other to be who we are, whether the other is a criminal or our best friend or our loved one? We're constantly faced with the fact that, we live with other people, yet they don't make and conclude decisions the same way that we do. How do we allow that? On one level, if you follow the pattern of hierarchy, we say someone else has got a better answer to what to do than I do, so I just sort of follow the rules that's been pre-established by those who are more intelligent or what the masses have decided. And yet there's another level to us where we're meant to discover exactly how empowered we are for our own reality and how important our decisions are relative to having compassion and empathy for others. There's a balance there, and that balance is what humanity has always sought. We call it drama in the old way of saying things, but in fact, finding that balance and allowing our fellow man to be a fellow man, and yet still not taking on responsibility or rules handed down by others if they're not how we feel inside. You see, we can be programmed by what the Cabal or Illuminati set for us, or we can discover that we are actually outside that we have our own reality to choose from, and that everything that comes to us is actually more like a buffet plate, or more like an offering of what we can choose to focus on and perpetuate.
Absolutely, and what you're explaining is what I would say is love, unconditional, neutral love. And in the same way as learning to love our brothers and sisters no matter what, in the same way, also these, I would say, the changes too are helping to get us to know our brothers and sisters in different dimensions here, right next to us, different dimensions, different planets, getting to know them in a personal way. And that was my heart, really, really tender heart. Like 4 months ago, I had that conversation with Franco Di Niccolo. This is why I believe you are here, and the Pleiadians and all others in Galactic Wise are here today, Julian, and all our human brothers and sisters, all of us. In that same way of getting, learning to love each other on Earth, it's happening also the same way with our brothers and sisters galactic-wise in different dimensions, all at the same time. And we all plan to be here, you guys, and it's exciting times to me. So thanks for explaining that, Julian. And I just want to comment also on his young child that he had a tender moment with, this other Julian. And his little girl said, "It's okay, Daddy, you can go." I don't know why I'm crying, because I know death is swallowed up by victory. There is no such thing as death. We just go into different dimensions. But, children, and we're going to see this very much astounding in the near future. We already are. They know, and they're so pure. They don't have the programming on us, and they know. So this is why she was so confident and telling her daddy, "It's okay, you can go." And anything to say on that, Julian?
Well, I have my own daughters, and I've since been divorced since exploration of my life last fall. And I've developed a new relationship having this distance since I'm not the primary caregiver. I basically visit them and spend a couple of days with them a week. And I've learned to appreciate them on a whole nother level, not taking them for granted and taking in every moment for what it brings. And I've tried to find significance more and more for the role that I'm in and for the role that they're in. And I've discovered also just how much they teach us from this abundant, true position of being in their heart. And as well, you could also see the programs that they've adopted, the programs that are in their surroundings from television and, you know, from their peers and whatnot. And you can see how those add up over time, how the programs add up in relativity. It creates sort of like a pyramid of control on one level. And I've continued to encourage my children to really speak from their heart, to not hold back, with me at least, and to really explore what they understand of their surroundings and, you know, encourage them to discover and learn on their own, because through that and seeing them do that, it's really given me that space to sort of revisit how I learned through my heart, how I follow with my heart, because it comes so easily to them. They don't have any notions, or they have very few notions as to why they shouldn't. So it's been a really big educational tool for me, re-entering my sort of like childhood state and being open, because, you know, we talk about the law of attraction and whatnot. Well, really, we're born allowing. We're just given parameters to assume in which the ways that we should be allowing. And yet you can be allowing of any experience, really.
So when we're born right, especially right now into this earth with the propaganda, domination, control system, and then even on top of that more, you know, we build the programs in us, or we'll say another word for programs if you don't understand, is a mindset. Through the media and all that, we gain that. And children don't have that right away. Yeah. So go ahead, Julian.
Yeah. Well, did you want to hear a little bit more about those beings on the ship?
Yeah, let me really quick. I want to finish up with this one. We're squeezing all the good juice out of this today, Julian. Yeah. So with the, I just want to what I thought when you said, you know, when these beings, these 11,000 humans, left on the ships, you know, it's not like they're dying. They're just in another dimension. And I preface to say we're in a heavy in the transition now, where we're going to be able to even one-on-one visit and learn from each other, beings in different dimensions, different Earths. Well, this man, Julian, that went on the ship, and of the 11,000 others, they're able to be in another dimension and communicate. And so it's not like they left, but they left the propaganda domination world because they wanted to. And I want to comment on that, too. You know, I think maybe the Pleiadians came up with the plan because these people were really asking from their heart, because our brothers and sisters can't help us without our asking them for help, just like you guys. So in some way, somehow, there was such of a call for help from the bad guys, the Illuminati, the contrasters, that the Pleiadians came up with a plan. And I just want to say thank you to the Pleiadians for that. So, yeah, and that was my next question regarding the four-legged and the beings. And you talked about they came with the technology so they could come into this density. Well, I just want to let everybody know that I learned, too, the technology, there's lots of technology our brothers and sisters use in different dimensions to go to different dimensions. But here's how we can describe it now. We can learn it as, you know, we've learned of, there's a miracle in the Christian realm. Like, miracles happen. All these miracles happen. Well, we call it miracles. It's technology. So I just wanted to tie that together so there's an understanding. So, you know, that's one of the realms I got unconfused from when I learned a lot. So, yes, go ahead, Julian.
Well, technology is a grounded miracle that makes it easy for it to repeat in existence. So,
explain that.
If the knowledge of how a miracle comes into being becomes fully known, then we call it magic, because we can do it over and over. But it can also be relegated to creating tools, physical tools outside of ourselves that perpetuate the loop of that miracle. So that's what kind of technology is about. We can manifest energy and electricity from our hands if we wanted to, but we've come up with other tools so that we don't have to continually put our focus there. We've created grounding outside of ourselves so that that level of physical reality takes care of its own. But I did want to share a little bit about
the beings.
Well, the dimensions you mentioned. Dimensions, from everything that I've gone through in my learning and my exploration, is a dimension is a perspective. Almost like when, say, you're on an acid trip, you experience a different dimension. Now, some people wonder what's the difference between going into a dimension and experiencing a dimension with your mind. Well, there's not a whole lot. But people would argue that, well, my body was still there. When I was on an acid trip, I was in another world. But if somebody came along, they'd see my body there, and they'd say, no, you didn't go anywhere, you know? Well, in this case, there are bridges being created between the Pleiadian dimension and our dimension. And it's a very physical side thing. And the more that bridge is being created, the more that they are able to visit here. Now, the reasons for the bridges and the doorways are just tons and tons of reasons. But for the most part, if we want those bridges to occur, and many people have asked me how they can reach Pleiadians or how they can, see shifts and things like this, what you're really doing is working on inviting it. Because the technical reasons for how a dimension comes into your being is simply by you inviting it. Much like when you go to sleep, you exist in another dimension. Your body's there sleeping, but you're actually experiencing the dimension because you're not relegated to just your physical vehicle. You have opportunity to create additional physical vehicles. The additional physical vehicles, like the vehicles we use in our dream state,
we're multi-dimensional beings. Right. So there's lots of us.
That's right. And I wanted to show that they are less dense. That means it's kind of like having less energy per square inch. That's not exactly accurate, but it's a pretty good image, I think, for most people. We live in a reality where there's more energy within our space. We're like energy packed together, much more here than other places. You can have a physical body, and yet the physical body doesn't mean that you're as dense as you are on the Earth. So what's going on relative to a lot of our space friends that are visiting the planet and whatnot that are near us, they have a level of physicality where they can enter into our density by altering their vibration. Now, the vibration is really key because the vibration is usually the fastest way to describe a dimension. We can see a spectrum of density, and so what we do is we call this a dimension, which is like a space where we observe only within the range of the color wheel. We only experience within the range of the octaves of what we hear, and we only observe, we only experience within the vibrations of what our nerves can feel, and what we touch. But as you already know, there are in the animal kingdom. Okay, I'm hearing the conference has been locked and unlocked. Are you still there, Elizabeth?
Sorry, it's still, I pushed the wrong button. It's not locked. Everybody can come in. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just going to share how we know the animal kingdom, they experience reality differently than we do. Okay, so it's not dissimilar from that. The difference between a lot of the off-world people is that they have what we know as our sixth sense. So they have their ability to observe beyond their physical body much more easily. And this develops telepathy and whatnot, abilities that are kind of, definitely considered rare to have here. But there are people with telepathy. I know them. I have had bouts of telepathy that seem just like conversation myself. But the point is that the bridging of dimensions is occurring more and more, and that's a lot. That has a really big part to do with the shift in ages. And I just wanted to just to get that out. Now, the 11,000 that have gone on this very specific Pleiadian ship, they're going through the transition of how to manage this density that the Pleiadian ship has available. Now, normally, when if you were visiting a ship, you could just take, like a shot in the arm or a pill or something that would alter your vibration during the course of it running it through your bloodstream. However, for a more permanent shift, they're literally being forced to live in a lighter, less dense reality and follow the rules of a less dense reality. And in the interim, they're actually living on what we might consider like a holographic space, like the holodeck from the Star Trek Next Generation series. They're living in a village that was prepared for them, and they're all have the opportunity to find basically something that's familiar to them, like a townhouse or a home, and they're all occupying the same space together, and they're not intermingling directly with the rest of the ship. Essentially, they're in a confined space. If anyone's seen Doctor Who, it looks like a telephone booth, but you go inside, and it's a really large open space. It's similar to that. I'm not going to get into how that's possible, but that's basically what it's like. But this ship is several kilometers in diameter, and it's spherical in nature, and it houses thousands of Pleiadians. But within this holographic space, they're involved with Pleiadians that are there around the clock to speak to them and talk with them. They're situated in specific places so that everyone knows where to go to talk with them. They're having sort of like town halls they've organized, and basically what's been going on this last week is they've been trying to figure out what their purpose is, beyond learning how to acclimate to this density, because they have to learn how to live without food in the way that they've known it, because the Pleiadian food is just, it's not what works for them, for most people. So they initially went through a very uncomfortable fast, and there was technology to make it easier on those who were having a particularly hard time in it. But this was all kind of in the memo that it was going to be a physically uncomfortable transition. But as they acclimate more and more, and they're getting a better understanding of what's occurred on a more real level for themselves, they're from all over the world, and so they speak different languages. There is technology that allows them to they can speak, but there's like this walkie-talkie or like a phone that you hold up to your ear that translates the words around you into your native language so you can understand. But they're being trained in greater levels of telepathy. Telepathy is easier in a lighter density. And so this entire village is going through a very slow shift of vibrational space so that they can more and more leave the density of Earth. Now, normally this would be considered ascending as in moving to a lighter reality. However, that's not what the ascension process is here on Earth. We're not ascending into the Pleiadian lighter density reality. We're bringing our wisdom from lighter density perspectives and mastering our physical density here. We're not becoming less dense. We're gaining more knowledge and empowerment of how to work within this dense soup. It's as if they live in a reality where they walk about and they can walk through, and all there is in resistance is the air in their space. The equivalent for us in operating in our minds and our world is as if we're living in an ocean of water, and it's dense and it's difficult to move around and to get things done. However, the impact is very intense between each other, similar to how sound travels through water more profoundly and affects much more around us than it does above water. So that's just a little reflection on density and dimension and what they're going through. And many of them really want to help. What they've decided is that they want to find purpose now. They want to find purpose and to find ways to help those continue to awaken and to understand. They have lots and lots and lots of secrets, but they're not able, or they're not in a position to be sort of like whistleblowers from the Pleiadian ship right now, because they have to understand more and more what has taken place, what is taking place, and the certain levels of commitments that they've made. Now, they're essentially, part of the agreement is that they're only going to be able to return once essentially they've been invited to come back. The invitation needs to be presented by people on Earth, and the Pleiadians expect that will be sometime until the average humanity is ready to invite what we might consider criminals back to Earth. However, they're going through their own deprogramming, getting to understand the bigger picture, and speaking to one another. I mean, most of them have not met each other or even known what each other have done, and they're basically talking about putting together like a big picture sort of system so that the Pleiadians have a better understanding of what's going on down here. It's almost like they're getting the Pleiadians have observed and spent a certain amount of time observing humans, and this ship in particular its role is to observe humans and to share and to experience as humans do, and share that with the rest of the other Pleiadians, so that they have a better education and understanding of what human life is like. And essentially right now, these beings are rapidly accelerating their intimate knowledge of what humans are like, and the specificities of human nature and human thinking. So that's kind of what has been the exchange. The Pleiadians get to understand humans better, and one of the real reasons why they did that is that the Pleiadians have been observing humans on the planet for a while now, and they're observing of these people that felt like they were between between a rock and a hard place. The pressure is just so intense. And they just so wanted to be in their heart and express from their heart and not play this game so much. I mean, you've heard people who have pains right now, and they're in financial trouble, or they're having just trouble managing living in society right now. We've heard of these people, people awakening or star seeds or whatever. Well, it's almost nothing compared to those who are forced from many directions to be basically to be a snot and actually adhere to this setup where their job is to make life hard on us, make life hard on the average person. And that's on purpose. That's what I mean by partners in contrast. Essentially, they don't want to be the contrast anymore. They've learned enough that they're spiritual enough to see that that they were not part of the original bloodline, the direct bloodline. Even some of that were in the bloodline have decided to disconnect at this point. They really don't know exactly what will happen. Nobody knows exactly how this play or this chess move is going to do anything. The Pleiadians were not intending to really screw things up. They weren't doing this so that, not directly doing this so that there would be an upset in our society with these people missing, or to deliberately attack the Cabal by doing this. They were simply so empathized that basically absolutely felt the need to support those who were asking for help, and they sought a way to do it. This group within the Pleiadians is a ship onto itself. It has its own structure in terms of how they think. So basically all those on this ship are of like mind and all share a perspective. And in fact, their decision to do this was very unpopular with other groups of Pleiadians and Andromedans, Arcturians, Sirians, Orions, and others that are here for supporting the liberation of Earth. So this is really considered a radical move, and essentially it came to a place where those who were most involved with observing humans and interacting with them on many levels, it took this ship to decide that they were going to cross the divide and make this happen. And all the other groups honestly knew that they were going to follow their free will as a local community, an aspect of Pleiadian humanity. So on one level, many people up there in the different galactics feel that they've gone too far, yet everyone's learning. Even they're learning that everything is appropriate and everything is following divine will and divine plan. Anyhow, that's a little bit of what I wanted to share from what I've experienced of what's going on, and this is mostly a culmination of what I've begun to understand over this last week.
Wow. That is beautiful dissertation, however you say that. Beautiful, beautiful. I just want to make some comments so we can maybe expand on a little bit.
Okay.
I just wrote down my question. I didn't even have to ask it. What are they eating? 5 seconds later, you answered the question. So we're already doing telepathy on the phone and everything. So, because I suffice to say the same thing you just described going on with the call out from our brothers and sisters, the bad guys, whatever I'll call them that. Mm-hmm. They're wanting to change. They're sick of it. They know the game. They're done with it. And there's thousands on the other side, the good guys. They're done with the game. They know it. We're done with it. And yeah, but so a lot of that's going on.
Yeah. Well, the ones that were in this level of pain were what we consider more pain than suicidal. That their pain threshold was so great, it was beyond what a suicide can resolve. You see, because they have love attachment, they have family, they have things that they absolutely are in their heart not to let go of. And yet at the same time, to commit suicide is to kill more than oneself, but to destroy the fabric of all that they've held dear. So that's really that position, right? So explain
that again so I can understand it. This group, this 11,000 that went, they weren't at the point to commit suicide, but they are at another point. And
they were at a point beyond suicide, where suicide was going to make things even worse. Like suicide would not be a relief for them. Even though, on one level, suicide is a relief, they basically were grounded in so much knowledge that they were not allowed, that they were essentially shackled and forced to be prisoner. And
so, are you saying that they were beyond suicide? They'll go out and do like what we call false flag, or kill a lot of other people and then kill themselves?
Yeah. Right.
Oh my goodness!
But
wow.
Killing themselves wasn't even the solution. It was literally more like a circumstance where say you're you're part of like a shooting squad, and your job is to kill 20 people in front of you. Mm-hmm. Now you could say, or you can kill yourself, and instead of those 20 people, 20 people that you feel should not die are going to die instead.
Well, I'm glad you brought this.
People over or who you feel are most important. Where you're not just killing yourself, but you're killing 20 individuals that are even more important to you. So the lesser of the two evils is that they're going around killing strangers. Yet these individuals have a certain degree of telepathicness. They've been trained in following their intuitions, and yet that itself has led them to the level of empathy for the damage that they're doing at the same time. So they actually suffer more than people who are not trained in their gifts of empathy and connection.
Well, I'm glad you brought this out because, then this just shows more of an impact of, even though you described, the ones that, the Pleiadians that decided to bring this amnesty, so to speak, offer to them, the other groups of Pleiadians and other beings, it was unpopular to them, but now you're explaining that, and in my perspective, that was kind of a cool thing they offered to these men and women, because now you're painting that they were in beyond suicide, and I guess the way I take it, beyond suicide, you're going to kill more people so you can get all that frustration out and then kill yourself. Wow. I mean, that would be, wow. That's really insightful.
So, yeah, it's hard to understand the pain. But essentially that was it. It was an amnesty. They knew that not everything was going to go well, that they could easily still, a lot of them ended up not going. There was initially 54,000 that were ready. And, if you look at the numbers, a lot of them did back off. They felt it was not a good idea after all. And, either through threats or offers to stay or whatever. A great number of them pulled back, and a lot of them were given the opportunity to change their mind right before entering the ship that would leave. They were basically given a type of thing that would, kind of like a pill that would make you go back to sleep and make you feel like you just went through a dream and that you were delusional. And in many cases, it would be the kind of delusional that you could be committed for. And that, almost like, by reason of insanity, I thought something was going to happen, and I'm just, declared insane temporarily and whatever. So there was kind of an out there, too.
Well, why is it so unpopular, this decision a group of the Pleiadians made to make this amnesty offer to the contrasted ones? Why was that so unpopular to the others? Can you explain that, or do you know more detail?
There is, you have to understand what invitation is about. On one level, these Pleiadians in particular were, you could just say, the closest with humanity, okay? So they can hear the invitation better than the others could. And so the others are catching up to the education that these Pleiadians have on what's going on the planet and how the psyche of the people are here. Okay? It's similar to like they were becoming sort of like our own family members, like marrying into the family. You have more empathy now for your brother-in-law than you did just a moment before. Well, now it's your brother-in-law, but your cousins and whatnot, they may not know exactly your new connection. That's the unpopular element.
Yeah, and that's a mirror, like what's going on with us, too. There's humanity. There's some people that are very connected to, galactic brothers and sisters, Julian Wells, for one, and there's others that are catching up, and there's more than just Julian. And then there's others just like us. Yeah, it's like a mirror thing.
Right, and so there's this holding hands and with empathy, literally, by giving yourself the space and patience to understand another. That's how you're going to bridge the differences. Now, we're not all meant to become, the homogeneous person. The Pleiadians are very homogeneous, actually. And the things that they seek are to stand out and to explore beyond what has already been explored in Pleiadian groups. And that's part of why they are integrating more and more with us. They're seeking the exploration of life through intensity and density. And we're seeking the peace that is from their society, the peace and the balance and the unity. So on one level, they're seeking the contrast so that they can become and invite more creativity, and we're seeking to create balance and basically more peace within our minds and less disunity.
Beautifully said, and I just want to bring in the experience I had. I've been on a wild fast ride too in the last 3 or 4 years, but when learning about our brothers and sisters, I stumbled on it, and one night I stayed up all night, studying on them, and right before I go to bed, I heard a voice like somebody sitting right next to me said, "We're here." Anyway, and that ride, and then 2 Christmases ago, literally, I was here by myself. My Christmas Eve present was stumbling on Tolek and the Andromedans and listening to all of those. Yeah, and what did I want to bring up with that? I wanted to just ask really quick, you said that the 11,000, they had like a device to put up to their ears so they can understand in their own language what the Pleiadians are saying and everybody else around them, and even the Pleiadians, right?
Yes.
Or is that just telepathic? Or they can understand
It's relative, since they're developing telepathy, all of them at different paces, right?
Okay.
And understanding and faith in that. Because
see, I knew.
Translator can also, you can hear the words of someone speaking another language, and yet you can learn to feel the words at the same time, and you begin to understand through all. You'll note a lot of the evidence of subtleties in expressing when you express is actually sort of like the bridge between telepathy and the symbolism of the words themselves.
Yeah, like a technology to help us get to there, because we are the technology. We are limitless. We're always evolving. And so even just the phone we're talking on now and the computer, we are that technology. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So you called it a universal translator, right?
Something like that.
That
it still has context in which it operates. It still operates on sound, but it's very much like a tool that is like Google Translate. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's pretty close.
So just a question, and then I'll explain myself. Could the Pleiadians use that to talk to us over the phone?
We would need to have that.
We would need to have that.
We would need to have that.
Okay, well, we can materialize things like that.
They can speak English, and they can train their vocal cords to operate that way, but their native speaking is more like, sounds a little bit like bird singing.
Wow. Well, I asked that because, I mentioned that I really had a really heart-strong purity thing like 3 or 4 months ago, and I, remember your journey. I followed your journey from the beginning, by the way. Even everything, every little detail, even when you learned about Andrew and you had to call and ask him questions, even before that, I don't know, anyway, cool. Was that, here's my thing, because my journey through your Q&A sessions with the Galactic Historian, Andrew, and you and the Pleiadians, I'm telling you, like I said, my Christmas present was a Tolek thing, listening to that. And then listen to those 3 Q&A sessions. It really, and you use these words, intimately brought me to a relationship, knowing of my brothers and sisters, we're programmed and brainwashed, and mindsets of, little green men way out there, and, you know what I mean? So it brought me closer in a sense, even though, so my heart intent, and this is another reason we're here together today, I don't know how it's all going to work out or what, was to bring people together in a group to learn more intimately, like I just brought you through your journey with your Q&A with the Galactic Historian and you, our brothers and sisters, so we can start learning from them, for instance, like the Pleiadians, about peace, about how we can bring peace to Earth through us, and then we can teach them some things, in a group sense. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. I've considered this. They've considered this. There's possibilities of talking about me writing a book. They've considered a lot of these things, and now it just comes to follow through based on how invited it is by those in terms of the energy to make it happen.
Right.
Now, on one level, I could say, I'm just going to do this, blah, 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 blah. But, in fact, I'm following more and more the intention of those around me. Sort of like I'm listening to the outer part of myself that I find in all around me to guide me into what specifically feels the best. I have a buffet of choices in front of me, and, I'm going to feel out which one I'd like to have. And I may try this today, and I may not try it tomorrow. I may try, the pudding tomorrow, or try apples today.
Right.
And so it's following that flow and discovering what feels best for me. And as people tell me they'd like to hear more and more about this or that, that's where I gravitate to, because that's where the energy is. That's where I feel abundant and whatnot. For instance, I can share that I've come close to writing a book based on the lives, the day-to-day living and stories of 3 specific Pleiadians from this ship, and what it is to live a daily life in the types of experiences they go through. I can get that kind of download that clearly.
Yes. And don't let us forget, I want you to share all that, too, at the end, your sites and how to get a hold of you, what you do, and your book, too. We want to put that in there. Yes.
Well, I don't have a book yet.
How we can follow that. But you just described what you just described, how you choose and pick things. That's the same for everybody in every situation they're in every life, and that's the way to go, because we don't want to go run, helter-skelter everywhere. Just take your time and pick, and whatever your heart space is, whatever your heart. For instance, Julian, mine, whatever we use us for example, our heart space is to awaken humanity and make the most impact for the most people at that one point. And that's I can speak for myself, and so that's how I'm guided and to choose things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically it's about that balance. The balance allows you to pivot easily, and yet it also holds a degree of grounding that is not more than you're willing to accept.
Wow, that's good. So let's go back to you said that these 11,000 can come back if they're invited to come back by humanity somehow into their physical body?
Even as individuals in their physical body, they'll still have to learn a lot on how to reintroduce coming back to this density as well. You see, it's almost like these people are essentially, kill on sight at this point, because of what they bring back would be a bit too tremendous right now.
Right. So this reminds me of, if they're invited back from humanity, that just tells me in a group's heart space, if their heart, invites them back, because we all have to ask for it. Ask so you receive from any being in any dimension or world. So that reminds me, too, of the Malaysia Flight 370, if you've been following the Diamonds Call and the blog that I've been making. Something kind of like that may occur with Malaysia 370, according to Franco and others. It says that we planned it to come back some way. I've been trying to figure out the detective and mystery person I am. Why would we plan something like that, But what you say about these 11,000, if, humanity invites them back to learn more of their journey, may be plausible for Malaysia 370 and more. I just kind of wanted to paint that together. And others, I heard, other planes and ships and others have been disappearing around the Earth lately in the last month or two. But there's nothing said about that or anything. Have you heard anything? Or do you know anything from the Pleiadians about that, Julian?
Well, I did want to give a confirmation that the Pleiadians are saying that Richard Rockefeller was taken. His plane did crash, but he was taken from his plane. His body was not in the wreckage.
Now, Richard Rockefeller, how old is he?
He's 65.
Okay, what is he known for? I know he's Illuminati.
I'm bringing it up. 1 second. Nephew of former Vice President Nelson A. Rockefeller, who was also governor of New York from 1959 to 1973.
Thank
you. Crashed in a hamlet at the hamlet of Purchase, a New York City bedroom community of about 10,000 residents. State of University of New York campus. The airport was closed for a time after the crash. Federal Aviation Administration was investigating.
Oh. Yeah, and within history too. This is nothing new, you guys. We got Admiral Byrd, and it's a hollow Earth thing, and we have who was that lady on the plane that they never found the plane?
Amelia Earhart.
Amelia Earhart and others too. So we're traveling into astounding times, you guys, and we're traveling to a new time, our natural state, our supernatural natural state. I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm like these guys in contrast, these 11,000, that they were ready to get done with what they're in. I'm ready to get into
I do want to share, a lot of them didn't know. They really didn't know something like this was possible. But
they didn't know. What do you mean?
They didn't know. They did not know that they could be taken off planet. Not until
even though they knew about telepathy, they used telepathy and intuition.
They did not deliberately put that out. It was simply a crying in the corner type of calling out. You know.
They were just wishing like a little child, but they were astounded to get the email they got, from the Pleiadians.
Correct.
The amnesty. Oh, that's beautiful. Wow.
So essentially, the Pleiadians have taken on a very, very large responsibility. Probably one of the biggest moves that this group can identify having done. That's not true. There's a lot of them about 10 years ago. Apparently, they had a lot of involvement around 9/11. But anyways, they're basically saying that, you know, they're taking this action and they're living every day from their heart, and whatever balance comes forward from that is what it'll be. There's no projections of exactly what will come. You know, some people can continue to call it a mistake if it's in contrast to the way they hope the world operates. But in the end, one of the bigger messages that I've discovered for myself is that you have your own dimension. You live an independent dimension. Your perspectives are your own, and another person's perspectives are their own, and yet you live together so that you have a means to explore in piecemeal. You explore bit by bit so that you can incorporate more and more at a pace that is easy for you to digest. However, if you want to make quantum leaps, you can choose to do that too, noting that everything will always be in balance no matter what pace you choose.
And you know what, Julian, the way you're talking, the words and the things, I have a feeling it's you plus all what the Pleiadians have taught you so far, your wisdom that's shining through. Is that true, would you say?
Well, if you get to know me a bit, you'll know that the Pleiadian starseed aspect of myself is becoming more and more present in me, that I'm becoming more and more a Pleiadian human and can represent Pleiadians more and more.
Thank you for explaining that. Avatar, right, kind of thing.
Type of thing.
Yeah, and I just want to share, you know, that goes to show you that one example with you just said that a lot of them didn't even know they were, you know, crying out for help just because they were hurting so much. They didn't know. This goes to show you guys, everybody, that we have help in high and low and places right beside us that we don't even know. Can imagine yourself as a child. We should all be childlike now. We're all children. Didn't you have times when you sat on your bed and you cried and your heart was broken or something and you imagined and you asked for help and you wished? Well, little do you know, and maybe you knew back then, but we do have help. So ask so you can receive. Ask for help in any way, a good way, you know, any good situation, bad situation, anything. Ask for help, because my yoke is easy, burden is light.
Yes, we all, almost just about everyone has guides. And the kind of guides that support people in times where we're asking for help are usually the powerful angelic type guides, the ones we call guardian angels and whatnot. Just about everyone has one. If you experience a tremendous intensity in your life, you'll have an angelic type guardian. But many, I speak to people's guides. I'm able to connect with them. I'm able to sometimes get their names if the names are appropriate. And I've learned just how connected we are to things that we don't know, and how they support us. It might seem, how do they support us? How can I have somebody who's a guide, and yet I don't even know that they exist? Well, most guides operate knowing that they're not immediately understood that they're there, yet they are contracted through your higher being to participate, to support you in specific endeavors at different points in your life. So your guides may be there your whole life, or they may be in and out type guides for different phases. And I've noticed people have, anywhere from one guide to recently I met someone with 20, which was actually like groups of guides working as small collectives. But your average is probably in the environment of 2 to 4.
And plus we have our multidimensional selves that may be on this planet or different planets or different dimensions, or maybe on this planet or different planets, different dimensions. So all of that, And so let's redefine died and death, Julian, right now. We got to change our mindset. Not you, but, we're in the paradigm shift, a different way of doing things, a different way of thinking. So death and dying is not what we have been brainwashed and programmed to have. It's just transitioning into a different dimension. Would you say, Julian?
Right. Yes, dimensional perspective is what it all comes down to. You see, you have a part of you that journeys beyond dimensions, just like you go to sleep and you have experiences, even though we call them dreams and they seem to have very little relevance. That's actually a pre-planning stage. That's a place where you go to begin inviting your future. The first phase of going to sleep is actually not that. The first phase of going to sleep is actually processing and downloading your day and beginning to analyze it from a broader, more wiser perspective, your higher being. And then through the middle part of the night is the rest and balancing, which is sort of like giving everything relative perspective and multidimensional states of understanding. And then in the later parts before you wake up, that's basically going through the preparation stage of things that you're beginning to invite for the day and for elements far into the future. And when you awake, and the way that you see them is highly symbolic. When you get into broader dimensions that are less physical, relatively speaking, because they have you have dreams that are feel more like physical, real, and some that don't. It comes through symbolic reference. Everything is an illusion. Everything is actually symbolic representations of energy, from the colors to the objects. They all have a significance that explain to you who you are and what you've attracted into your life. You can look around the room and you can see the significance of everything in your room as a resonance of what you've invited into your world, otherwise it wouldn't be there. And the level of attention that we give to different things is in harmony with the way that we're going in our lives and the way of things that we're focusing. The power of now is really that place where everything is pivoting constantly. And the reflection of past and future are essentially integration of energies that are not quite in our present moment of now. So we can invite our past, we can invite future, we can invite things that we're relatively unknown. But on one level, at the higher perspective, everything is known, depending on how higher you go up in perspective. And so we live a dimensional physical reality where energy is very dense, energy is very grounded because of that, and it appears that we're sort of going around trying to move around underwater, that things are very thick and dense. But you get to a place where it's a little bit lighter, you get your head above water, so to speak, and you see that there's a vast amount of freedom available
should you broaden your perspective and allow a broader perspective to come into your consciousness. Yet we have lots of programs that persuade us that we're not to take a look in those directions. We're not encouraged to believe our imagination is actually information from our higher being. And so we treat it in a playful nature, but we can treat it in a very serious way and treat synchronicities very seriously, which is to give it more grounding in importance and to listen and try to understand the messages of everything that is symbolic. So oftentimes when we see as messages that are benign or don't have a certain relevance, give yourself a chance to sort of read them in the way that dreams can be read. There's lots of ways to understand and learn how to read the significance of what things happen in dreams, and in the same way that we can understand the synchronicities. Synchronicities are basically things that would seem otherwise benign, but are extremely low odds of actually occurring, like very random chance. But the random chance is another part of yourself trying to let you know that there's more data out there that you can begin to receive if you choose. I remember the place where I cried for days, realizing how significant my imagination was. My imagination was the relationship with my mind that had grounded beliefs and thoughts. But if I let my mind sort of go, the random things that came forward were highly relatively significant to my life. And that is also how I do readings. And at the same time, I can say my readings are totally benign, but on the level of those who receive them, when I do readings and when I communicate with people, there are things that I'm talking about that absolutely no way that I could know. And that those synchronicities, you can call it a synchronicity or you can call it psychic, but either way, there is more to receive from our life should we expand into those realms that we've programmed to understand as not so significant.
Wow. And we're surely expanding today, thanks, Julian, and Pleiadians and all beings galactic-wise. But I have one comment and then and two questions back to what happened last week. But, yes, oh, my goodness, Julian. Let me just make the comment. 2-3 years ago, Julian, I remember Julian that talked about it even, that said he was shy and didn't really talk. Oh, my God, Julian. You are just awesome. You have grown leaps and bounds, and this is how we all will grow leaps and bounds if we just let ourselves, right?
Yes. Yeah,
wow.
And your heart will remind you what feels good moment to moment. Don't assume that you'll find your true north all of a sudden, but feel it more and more. When you understand, or at least you get to the level of understanding or grounding where you understand that everything is illusion and everything is actually invited by your attention, then you no longer fear what's about you, and it feels a lot easier to pivot. Then all that you really concern yourself were different things that affect your mood, because your mood is sort of like a state of mind. Like you can be in a mood when you're high on drugs. You can be in a mood when, you're under pressure to complete something by a deadline. You're in a mood when you're with your lover. These moods have a range of feelings that come with them, and within that, you basically choose within that range a set of thoughts. It's like you can't be all your thoughts at all times. So the moods are basically allow you a range of thoughts, and some moods are much more useful when attracting a reality that you choose versus ones that you feel restricted or in pain or conflicted. Those moods tend to have to transition to lighter moods before you feel your level of empowerment. The really disconnection is relevant because disconnection is a way that you explore what you have not known. It's really when you take a good look at what fear is, it's always of the unknown. It's that element where you're reaching out too far from where your heart is. And so you can retain grounding and comfort when you're in your heart. And when you're in fear, that means you're stretching out to the galaxy a little bit too much right now. and, you may want to adjust your mood so that you can feel a little bit more grounded again. And so we do outward breath and inward breath, expansion of mind and experience.
Yes. Fear is false evidence appearing real. And I want to add to illusion. Yes, it's illusion, but it's real, too, at the same time.
Yes.
Because we invited the illusion that we're in individually and then collectively. We invited it to experience it. So experience it and play with it. Enjoy it, like Franco says, and others, right?
Enjoy it like a video game.
And if you don't like video games, enjoy it like what you like to enjoy.
Well, you know what I mean. The video games are short-lived experiences of contrast and expansion.
Oh. That's good. Sorry, say that again. Video games are
short-lived explorations, and basically you explore in short terms and under limited circumstances. You're basically given the properties of the game. You're given the properties of a space. So you can explore it for a time. You can explore the intensity of it, and you can come back out of it. So
and you get bored and you want to find another game. Then you get bored and want to find another game, right, once you learn it.
Yeah. We just establish a lot of commitments that we say are paramount in importance. We commit to our relationships, and yet our relationships ourselves prevent us from exploration when our heart wishes to. They're great for grounding, but then the balance is not there when perhaps we want to explore beyond what our relationships might be. Things like our jobs. It's almost like, you may like a job for a while, but will you continue to like it? You can continue to find ways to like it, but on another level, there are people who want to continue to explore. And so it's almost like the dynamicness is not appreciated in our society the way we've grounded it. And
you should
so
say that.
We're kind of rewriting it from our own personal perspective and understanding it more and more, that grounding has its place and exploration has its place. And exploration is kind of the space that we're moving to during this level of reality that we've chosen.
Yes. And I just want to add one more thing, going back to, we have guides and helpers, angels, ancestors, and also ourselves with an S, multidimensional being. So I think what's going on, too, with this transition is our multidimensional selves, all of us in one person are healing, and we're going to start coming together. So then we'll start remembering our other selves. And there's people now today in this world, on this earth, that can, and it's hard to get your mind around, that can be 2 places or 3 or 4 places at once, and they can experience it all just like me and you are sitting here right now. It's hard to fathom, but that's what's happening too. Julian?
Yeah. Yes, that's how it is for me. I actually have a body that coalesced on the Pleiadian ship, so I walk around from that perspective. That being is less physically dense than mine, and on one level, I kind of remote control him when I choose to. It's like that person's channeling me, and I explore their reality from that person's eyes. So there's a 7th-dimensional Pleiadian on that ship that came into being in concert with a very specific range of consciousness and choices. So it has its own personality. And yet,
this is your multidimensional self on that ship.
Multidimensional version of me that is on the ship. Wow. A physical being as physical as the other Pleiadians. And they observed over time as I became more and more physical, less ghost-like, less like, the sort of holograms that you see at the end of Star Wars where, you've got just the light bodies there that are present, becoming more and more physical. And that's how I've gained a really wonderful perspective for their reality as I interact. I call it bilocation. And yet there's a body for me there that operates. Now, I've been asked on a couple different times if I would rather leave this body and be a part of that one, and I want to say no. That one's kind of
no. Don't do it, Julian. This is a good thing down here. Once in a lifetime, I guess, huh?
It is kind of boring, but it's funny. there's just exploration that happens at all levels if you choose to. And, building sensitivity through avatar training, such as I have with Michael Monk's course, has really opened up the gamut of my physical experience here, to learn how to feel and sense energy and see energy and auras of objects, not just people, and to watch energy flowing in a room and, try to investigate what that energy is, what's going on. It's like additional information beyond the visual spectrum. It's really fun to explore life now. It's nothing like I ever imagined I would be doing.
Yes, and I just want to say to everybody, what Julian's doing, that's what we can do the same thing. He's just kind of ahead of the game right now to help us, and we're ahead of the game with him in something that he doesn't have. We help him, just how unity consciousness works. So that is really cool to learn about beforehand. And, I think there's a time coming, Julian, and is maybe, like you learned the energy work and all that at Michael Monk's school, and others learned something different. But as you're talking, I'm thinking, okay, well, the energies are getting stronger, and I think, and it's, time speeding up. It's not really time, but, I think we're coming to a time when and we already have been, our supernatural, natural self is beaming out like the diamond as the programs come off, as our mindsets come off of this game. We're ready to stop playing and play in a different game. So it'll come naturally,
Yep. From my perspective, I'm downloading my higher being by having it more accessible, as my ego is stepping aside from the way things must be and allowing the versatility of perspective that my higher being has. Yes. And I want to go, okay, just really quick, because that's an important point, and I got 2 questions of your update. Okay. I heard you on the other call. Let's expand on it a little bit. That's an important point. How the ego and what's the other one? Our higher self, right? Mm-hmm. And how they're very good. Both of them are good. Well, the programming and the mindsets have to come off of both, but they're meant to work together, right? And cohese together. Absolutely. So explain that a little bit to make that clear for us, so we don't beat ourselves up. Okay, so our body is a physical level of consciousness. We'll just call it physical for now, even though it's not really that physical. And it's a coalesced point of awareness. Much like your eyes are a focalized point of awareness, and your ears are a focalized point of awareness. And as you pay attention to what you're hearing, then you're giving yourself attention to that focalized point of awareness. If you pay attention to what your index finger is currently touching right now, that's a focalized point of awareness. It doesn't mean your finger isn't touching things and receiving information all the time. It's just that you're focusing in this very moment as to what your right finger is doing. You don't know what your left pinky is doing. However, it has an ability to tell you what's going on. If it gets pricked, then you're brought your attention to your left pinky being pricked. The point of awareness is essentially what the broader mind does. It is like a roaming camera, and it focuses on different areas. And essentially what we're doing more and more is we're giving more and more information for the body to process. The body is a physical densification tool. It's almost like whatever the body works on becomes more solid. So the body is sort of like a solidification tool, and it goes through the process the way the ego chooses how it happens. The ego is sort of like the computer program that decides what's going to become more solid. So naturally, when we say let's get rid of the ego, it doesn't want to be out of a job. It wants to continue to create physical, dense experiences. Only it's challenged to create dense understandings and reality that's larger than its modus operandi. It's almost like it can only deal with a handful of things at once. It can't process, such large, broad perspectives all at once. So the ego feels overwhelmed, and it says, no, I can't figure out how that works, so I'm not going to bother trying to believe that right now. I say, well, that sounds great, but I'm not ready to believe that right now. That's what the ego does. And the ego develops all sorts of shortcuts and beliefs so that things are easy to repeat. It's almost like the ego develops tools. That's what a belief is. It's a tool to create shortcuts so that you can move, one step after the other without having to learn how to take a step every single time. Your ego and your body take care of your locomotion of your body so that you can walk down the street. You don't want to learn how to have to walk down the street every day, so the ego takes care of that. And so these grounded perspectives are perceived as beliefs. And currently what's going on is that these beliefs basically can entrap you in a complete understanding of the world. And that would be the world that the Illuminati or partners in contrast have developed. They can say, this is how it works. This is how financing works. This is how education works. This is how society works. And they give you a template for how your mind can agree on everything. However, they cannot completely trap your imagination and your willingness to explore beyond those boundaries. So what they do is they allow a couple openings that allow us to explore reality. They don't tell us that you can explore absolutely everything. They say, here's a couple training wheels so that you can explore relative to having things grounded. And so we agree to beliefs that are presented in front of us because they suit. And currently we're choosing to explore much more quickly beyond the properties of the rules that we've associated with. So there's a little bit of aggravation by the ego saying, hey, you're changing a bit too quick. I can't memorize all these things that you're trying to do here. I can't understand this all at once. And so your heart and heart being connection to higher being in balance says, okay, we'll take it a step at a time. But there is a point at which the ego says, okay, I get it. You have a lot of wonderful things, and so far you haven't killed me off yet, so you must be doing something right. I mean, I've previously been designed, the ego is saying, to survive life. And yet the higher being is saying there's much more to surviving. We're moving into a phase of thriving and exploration and joy and discovery. And the more ego you step aside with a couple of your basic rules that you've said that these things aren't possible, then we can move forward. And that's basically what's going on. The ego and the higher being are working in concert to explore reality. And, we've done things before that, we said, oh, my God, I've wasted my time. We can say, I met someone today, and we had a really great time. And I'd really like to get to know that person more, but they're on an airplane tomorrow, and I'm never going to see them again. And you can say, you know what, I just wasted a day. I was making a friend, and now I'm never going to see this friend again. And you can say that. That's what the ego might do. And yet the higher being knows that every moment is precious. Every moment is an exploration. Forget the fact that that person is gone. I just analyze the experiences themselves. Learn from the experiences themselves. Know that you don't require that other person for that experience to be repeated or to be grounded as a tool to explore going further. Learn every day, experience from yourself every day, and know that whatever remains is usually in concert with the way that the higher being is following its heart. You can say, it doesn't mean I'm not your friend anymore because you're gone, but I appreciated the time that we had. And I appreciate the experiences that you helped me bridge and explore through exploring the dynamicness of you and what you had to contribute in this two-way experiential relationship. And so there's something to learn from every moment. There's something to explore in every moment. And typically those people who become depressed, stressed, or in fear are those who are disconnected from feeling the natural process of their heart's imagination and natural state of inviting everything to come to be. Everything that you don't understand that comes forward is worth understanding if you want to know how to do it over and over. And that's what the ego does, is it tries to memorize. It says, this happened because this and this happened. Therefore, this leads to this. A plus B equals C. But there's much more to that. There's like A plus B equals the rest of the alphabet. And there's all those ways to understand it. And the higher being is just becoming simply more accepted. And our heart is becoming more accepted. We were taught from early childhood, hey, follow your heart, just do what's in your heart. Well, where did that message go wrong? Well, it never really did. They never ever said, the Illuminati and Cabal never ever said not to follow your heart. They just noted that if you weren't going to follow your heart, then you're going to play about these rules so that everybody can be on the same page. On one level, the rules were forced so that people can be on the same page. On another level, the rules were there to get you to a place where you can begin to understand that, you're actually meant to discover beyond the rules. When they say, we don't want people waking up, we want the world to remain as painful as ever, what they're really saying is, prove to us that you can stand beyond the rules that we've established, and that knowing your rules are more important, that your reality, your choices for life are more important. Prove to us and show us that you can demonstrate this understanding, and we'll not mess with you any longer. That's what's happening.
Excellently said. Wow. So in a nutshell, what I've been doing when you're like in a drama, it's easy to get caught up in the drama, but it's okay for a time. But now what I'm working on is like what you just said. If you get caught in the drama, you got to step back and say, why am I in this? What lesson am I trying to learn? What am I trying to grow from it for? And then if you can see that and follow that, then you grow, and it's like it doesn't come back again, and you're on and upward to something else to experience, right?
Yeah, there's validity in every moment. And the more that you accept there's validity in every moment, the less you resist every moment. You see,
that's good.
The resistance is also the perpetuation.
Now, say that one more time. The resistance is what?
Resistance is also perpetuation. Fear, the low vibrations, we call them, the fear and the anxiety and whatnot, that makes it more solid. Joy also makes reality of joy more solid. So the ends of the spectrum, the intense emotional feelings of...
You're breaking up a little, Julian, unless that's me.
Okay. You're sounding okay.
Oh. Okay.
All I'm saying is that the anxiety, fear, depression, and difficulties, they're there to become more real, and they become more real so that you have a greater element of taking a look at them. It's almost like the fear gets closer and closer until you take a moment to turn around and take a look at it. There's lots of things that are in my life that I don't pay attention to until they're big enough. It's almost like you only deal with it until it's big enough. And so it adds on. It's just recently things don't get very big. The things that get very big are the things that I don't understand about myself. And I usually get quite excited when I discover something I'm afraid of. I know that sounds weird, but
that's right.
It's because I know how much of a launching point it is to understand more of who I am as I take the time to find it in balance. That's an internal process of finding things in balance. It's a process where the more that you try to understand something, you'll find that your mood allows you the versatility of how you can explore something. So when you're really angry, it's really hard to explore your anger. But of course, when you're stepping away, when you're able to adjust your mood into a place of more neutrality and less attachment to it, then the range of your thoughts and feelings can explore it a little bit more. Sometimes it helps to ask others who are more neutral, because they may be able to offer from their perspective in more neutrality from the space. And we can hear things, and that's why everyone around us is kind of like a mirror for us. They can tell us about ourselves. Now, obviously, it's hard to hear from someone else if we feel their ego is all that we're hearing, that they're speaking from a place where, they're just talking about themselves and their own passions and desires, because we don't want to be co-opted by everyone else's lives and just be sort of like following through with what everyone else wants us to think. Well, that's true and not true. There's a place where you discover that, this experience that's happening in front of you, the way that they're acting is a mirror for yourself. That's a part of you inside to discover why people are acting this way in front of you, or why people are exploring their experience in a particular way. We're all connected, yet proximity denotes importance as well. The more that you have an empathy based on proximity, the more that information is available for you to discover if you are in that level of mood and state of mind that can receive it. So, that stepping away, that's a state of mind. That's a feeling space that you can feel and give yourself a little bit of disconnected from the intensity of what's going on. So from my perspective, having control over your state is a very useful tool for yourself. And there's lots of things, everything from music to, bringing back memories to, writing notes on your palm, so.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now I wanted to go back to your update, too. Man, this call has been very astounding, and it's going to go worldwide, galactic-wide. It already is. We're sending the facts back up to the multiverse, Pleiadians and beyond. Thank you so much for that. Because I wanted to ask the Pleiadians a couple questions, but I want to ask you two more questions on this update. Now, you commented right at the very beginning, which I'm very interested in, even though the Pleiadians didn't mean maybe this outcome, they meant the best for everybody. But you commented that the people, the 11,000 people that left, they left a position in the cabal, bad boy land, we'll just say, like a work job thing that they were highly trained up for,
a role to do within the matrix system, but they left, the 11,000 left, and those positions are empty, and nobody else knows how to do that. I think about that one, and can you expand on that? I mean, there are overlaps of roles. They use the word resources, okay? So resources can be trained over time, but it's definitely left a large gap in training. So it's almost like on some level relative to where those gaps are, you could imagine that they're scrambling to reposition priorities and responsibilities, but you could almost say that they're extremely vulnerable right now in their ability to react and to act reactionary to the way that humanity decides to explore. A lot of those individuals I'm getting were in roles of creating illusions and to hold the illusion together to a degree. So essentially the illusion of their reality will have less legs to stand on. These are what kind of illusions? Illusions such as perhaps what the media promote, or illusions such as perspectives of what money is doing in society, or perspectives such as what spiritual leaders are sharing. The support system and the resources are there to tackle any number of things, but I'm getting that most that were in profound leadership positions are basically too ingrained in the pyramid itself to leave. Yeah, but the ones that did leave, that'll have an impact on this earth. It'll have an impact on the, just say the house of cards that's already crumbling. It's going to have an awesome impact to crumble more. We'll just put it that in a nutshell. What do you think? One of the things I'm getting right now directly from the Pleiadians is they say if this works as well as they feel it is, it may develop templates for people to visit too. Wow, thank you for that. But and it's a good thing. So I think, the Pleiadians can have an argument now to the ones that didn't think it was a real good idea, because if this works, it's going to make the house of cards
crumble, the reality we live in, the illusion reality we live in now, crumble even more than it is crumbling. And that means more disclosure. That means more people waking up. And that means the more people waking up, the faster and easier we're going to go into the golden age, we'll put it that way, which I'm excited about.
I think,
what do you think?
There is the vast potential in this, of course.
Good.
It's hard to say specifically what might happen, but the general feeling I'm getting is that the locks on the truth behind illusions are not as solid.
Yes, the veils are coming off of everyone and every department in the world, government, every, education and all that.
As a note, I was able to actually see, I was given an image of the globe where the points of light indicated the individual locations, and a very large sort of like light grid representing a large population density was in the Middle East, actually.
The Middle East.
People in the Middle East and the Mediterranean zone left.
Well, that's a good sign right now, because what's going on in Iraq and all that, they have mercenaries and rebels in there trying to start World War III and all that other stuff. So, knowing what we know now, if a lot left from there, then it's not going to have an impact that they really wanted to do. So that's another argument and good thing to argue with you Pleiadians that did this, to argue with your other friends that this is a good thing that you did. Right?
Well, they have their connection on that subject, and those discussions happen on a regular basis. And if I get to hear from it, or if they feel it's something to share, then I'll find a way to get that out. Yeah,
and then the other argument I have for the Pleiadians, for the others that didn't think it was a good idea, and if you could expand on any of this, in the audio you did, you talked about the children of the Cabal that they have the telepathy and they know. I'll just say magical things, and magical things is us, all of us. We're naturally supernatural. So these children in the Cabal were trained up to do a negative thing, but they're turning positive. Can you explain a little bit more of that, and then expand on that on any other update you got, and expand a vision with them?
In speaking with other people during this last week, there has been more of an understanding of the wave that comes next over the long term, like the long-term wave.
I got excited.
It's mostly to do with with those that are awaking and those that are not as committed to the old system, that this wave is literally going to be a new leadership. There is leadership right now in the way that there's a pyramid structure, and it focuses on on basically a high level of contrast of experience. But the new one is going to offer the opposite polarity. It's going to offer the contrast of exploration, and it's actually going to come through leadership formats. So over time, it's going to be mostly about how you can explore more, and dedicated to a system that is about exploring yourself, practically a 180. However, the space to allow that new wave of individuals to lead humanity in that direction still requires the old group to basically play out what they feel is the end of their structure. Now, many of them don't actually even know that there's an end to their structure. So there is sort of like this illusion of keep it going for as long until it's actually a done deal for each individual. It's like they coast on the programming. Yet what happens within the wave is that more and more energy supports different kinds of activities. And their activities, as they've done it, is becoming supported less and less. So on one level, they just they're working harder than they ever have And there's a point at which, for many, that's just not going to serve. But since there's such a tight knit, it's going to happen. The collapse is going to virtually happen all at once. It's going to be pretty much a system of higher leadership, that they're going to basically say, okay, on these subjects, we're just going to admit defeat on, and we're going to let people do as they will and explore as they've been wanting to know more about this. So they'll let go of certain subjects. They'll let go of data. And those who will want to find out more about it, who clearly are wanting to know more about it, will find out more about it in large ways. So on one level, they never give up. But on another level, they're serving what is empowered to change. Wow. And it's like a jailer, finding out that the jail has lost funding, and the jailer can continue to be a jailer, or he could just be like, well, I'm out of a job. Why am I still holding all these guys? Maybe right. The ideal of holding people prisoner, even though I'm not being paid, might coast for a while. So
absolutely, and I heard, somebody gave anyway, it's like this. What you just explained, I'll just put it good, bad, whatever. As bad things keep going on, there's good and dissipating, and the good things are coming out more and more. And it's kind of like there'll be a point in time they'll both collide, and then there'll be like a light switch time. Boom. It goes on, it tips over to the other side where the crumbling house of cards is, but he's turned their back on it. It's not really popular anymore or whatever.
Well, take note of the new leadership. The new leadership will find its legs. It'll find its empowerment. It'll find that place where it feels safe to act. And on one level, they're already empowered to act.
Right.
On one level, they are not being as messed with as what they perceived might have been the case. You're not getting the same kind of whipping for speaking your truth. And the children of the cabal, those that have been in those families and have been programmed and dealt with harshly for stepping out of line, they're going to be the first ones that are going to basically allow their elders the space to move on without punishment for being in that role that they were. So the children are going through their great education of seeing the bigger picture by not being restricted so much from following their heart. Now, on one level they are. On another level, it's as if their heart is overpowering the programs.
Absolutely. I see that not just with the children, but happening on both sides too. We'll just say, even though we're all one, the good side, bad boy side too.
Sure.
Wow. And I'm sure you'll learn more about that too. So is it okay? Is there anything else you want to add for your update? And then I wanted to ask you about a couple questions for the Pleiadians.
Nothing specifically. I feel I'll share them on Facebook or other mediums on YouTube perhaps.
And you can always come back. We can do another update too if you want. We can put it out worldwide. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to ask you. Can we ask the Pleiadians a couple questions like you did with Andrew and you?
Yep.
Is that okay?
Yes, totally fine. I'll just get what I'm able to get, and if I don't get something, then that's probably off limits if there is such a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead. I'm connected with them virtually all the time.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I know you.
Only when the question is particularly intense, I need to extend my perspective to allow that, and allow that perspective to be available. But go ahead. They've been listening the whole time.
Yeah, I know. Thank you guys and gals, or all of you. But we love you so much here on Diamonds Forever 31 show. I wanted to ask you guys, we've been talking about what you allowed Julian, the facts from the multiverse, I put it, to get and update the world with. Is there anything from your personal aspect you would like to add on this?
There are a couple that are part of the roundtable discussions with those 1,100. Wow. We don't speak with 1,100 at the same time, but they're those ones that are there to answer questions for people. And it's 3 individuals specifically. They basically wait at what you call like a town square, so that anybody can come and ask questions, and or to deliver messages to the Pleiadians to work with, so like a suggestion box or something. And these 3 have some things that they can share about their observations and a little bit what they see going on, and a little bit from their perspective what they understand.
Okay.
The first individual is a male. His name is Matea, for reference for the future. He is there to help people with religious programming and to support religious-based questions. And he's noted that this group has a large number, especially from the Middle East too, have been operating on certain religious presumptions, and they have been getting really edgy over the implications of the Pleiadian perspective of reality. So there's been large gatherings to talk about religions and specifically. And they've been getting into, we might say, histories of religions, and sort of like the twisting of religions in certain ways. And it's been very enlightening for this individual to hear what is at the top of their list of issues. And they have been basically approaching the issues one by one, and working with the Akashic records and with other sources, other galactic groups that have additional data to share. And one of the subjects that it tends to trickle down towards is the discussion of the Anunnaki purpose and the purpose of the Anunnaki background. And as that unweaving is occurring, he feels that there may be a more complete understanding and record of the Anunnaki role yet to be shared sometime soon. Those discussions that they have there, even if I'm not directly involved in sharing about them, that information will find its way through the human sphere, the collectives of people we have down here. That information is about to sort of like resurface. They're just going through a more direct approach of it, and he's seeing that he expects that energy is going to find more and more surfacing for us down here. It's not completely researched from their perspective, but there's an element to the Anunnaki DNA that's part of the puzzle, and that is basically as far as he's taking that comment right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
There's another individual that's coming forward. It's a female. She's been getting a lot of questions relative to how the families that they've left behind, and questions relative to wanting to know if the Pleiadians can follow the lives of the children and the spouses and the loved ones that they've left behind, because the Pleiadians have the ability to use computers as remote viewing terminals and remote view. And so they're hoping to find ways to connect with their family. And that's been one of the big things that's sort of up in the air, is different ways to reach members that know that they've left and gone to the Pleiadians, because they've told them outright that that's what they're doing. It's as if they are concerned about having, some relationship still and not completely disconnecting. And on one level, Pleiadians are looking into a way that this can happen. And on another level, the individuals are learning also the balance of disconnecting and making transition and following through and discovering what their heart really wants. Are they wishing to speak with their family because they're afraid for their family, or any other reason? And so she's part of a delegation that is speaking on that subject. She just wanted to share that that's occurring. And the third one wants to discuss what he's observing as to the interrelationships of vastly different cultures and peoples. Even though they were living within the restriction of how to live via what was demanded of them and what was placed in front of them, it's as if they need to know that it was their choice to be there, and that connecting more and more with that place inside where they get to understand why they've chosen that role from a larger place. Those who are bloodline, who are part of the bloodline, understand more easily why they were doing what they were doing relative to their connection to their soul and their broader selves. And this one is noting that they're working together more as a community to discuss subjects relative to what their role was to begin with, and why they've invited such an experience of intensity, restriction, and pain, and to understand how perfect they were in the balance of things, and to forgive themselves over and over and over again for what they've done and for feeling like they're too weak. And so the discussions on those levels are happening, and that's another major theme of their processing at this time. I wanted to share that.
Wow, thank you so much. And then I have two more small questions for anybody who wants to answer it from anywhere that's connecting to. Julian, for the highest good of all concerned for us. Is that okay, Julian?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to ask, thank you for all your information and so many questions for both sides. For you guys, I'm sure you guys have lots of questions. Maybe we can build up to that, not now, today, but in the future, right? It's probable. Yeah. So I want to just ask anyone, any advice for us down here that you can give us in the moment of now, in this heat of transitioning, just to help us, have a profound transitioning and an awesome experience.
They're saying, in general, and this is some of the more older soul, broader density, dimensional ones. I'm going to call them seventh dimensional. I've mentioned them before, but just for those listening for the first time. To follow your sense of discovery. Follow your sense of wanting to explore. As you allow yourself this state of mind of exploring and discovering, more and more you'll see how your heart communicates with you. And during this time, there are lots of intensity that's come up. These intense experiences or moments or states of mind are really there to remind you of just how much you're holding on to. Intensity is only there as you seek to maintain your belief towards a grounding. And so you may take opportunities to take a look at things that you're grounding and believing and perceiving. These things may need a new definition. These things, these beliefs may require an upgrade of perspective. Now, on one level, you may feel ill-equipped to upgrade your beliefs or to understand more. But that is where you allow this sense of discovery to synchronistically give you piecemeal information and experiences that bridge the gap. And sometimes, in some ways, to understand very big things, you need to be fed all the different ingredients. And then once you've received all the different elements to construct a bigger picture, then you'll have a lapse of perspective that expands very quickly. So for those who are exploring, explore and know that what comes to you are synchronistically pieces of explaining bigger things. So when you're ready, look at lots of the small themes of your day and place them in relativity to each other, like a puzzle. Hold the puzzles next to each other and see how they connect, and see if you get a picture. See how they relate, and you can see the jigsaw picture helping you discover a larger perspective. And this larger perspective can give you comfort, and it will give you comfort in the knowing you can let go of just the stories and then know that the larger story is made up of all the small stories.
Yes, that's profound. Thank you so much. That's a good tool to use every day. Thank you. And then my next question, your group or any Pleiadian group, or, I guess your mixed group too, any group for the highest good of all humanity, I want to invite you. I want to invite you to come to the Diamond Show another time and do a Q&A session with Julian or however, and I know Julian needs to give me permission too. What do you think about that? Because I've been asking you guys, and not lately, but I have. I don't know if, and then I want to ask, have you heard me?
There is 43 different individuals who are putting their hand up.
Oh, boy.
Saying that they are available and have prepared for ways of communicating like this and other ways. They're not all Pleiadian. They are beyond that. As in not just Pleiadian race, but also broader dimensional beings. It's a very large gamut. Pleiadians specifically have a resonance that's very near human, and so it can appear that they can relate relatively well to very specific experiences that trouble us. So they can often bridge that gap, and that is also, they're reminding me, is part of my role, to bridge that gap. And so there can be something scheduled, or it can be spontaneous within a 24-hour period. As it suits, they are also letting, hold on, I'm having some resistance in my mind. Oh, just one moment. Sometimes there's things I don't want to share, but that's me. That's my ego taking issue. Just give me one moment. They're sharing that they are just as abundantly available to appear with sessions that you can book with me. And my little part there was I have anxiety relative to being the source directly because doing sessions, you know, I want to offer them for free, and I'd like to do it if it's ever appropriate. But I have my own concerns relative to charging for sessions. So on one level, I don't want to charge for sessions with them. And yet on another level, they're saying it's okay because it helps me balance the priorities of my own time. It develops priorities for me so that my time is not overly stretched. So they're reminding me that it's okay for me to charge for sessions. So if people wanted to have one-on-one sessions or people wanted to do group sessions, my rate would remain the same. And, of course, if people wanted to have sessions and they're financially challenged, just bring that to my attention and we'll work out whatever works out best. But they're available through me and other sources, but I'll have to intuit exactly who those other sources are. For the moment,
I totally agree with you. I just want to say, you know, that dilemma you have with, you know, charging or not charging. But you know, if you think about it, if people are ready for this, you know, and it works out for everybody, then they give you money to do, we'll just say, the group session because they're ready for it. And so. And because if, you know, right now the way our world is, if some things that are very astounding, if you don't pay for it, people just take it as a grain of salt and don't even have any respect for it, or, you know, don't put any validity, or, you know, don't take it seriously for themselves to grow. So I totally agree with that. That makes sense.
Sure. Well, right. There's a demonstration of commitment to it on one level. But they were explaining more from my side. In my mind, they're sharing in general that charging a fee is relative to an explanation of the energy that I put forward.
Right.
So the energy and time, you know, is relative to the other things that I want to occupy my time with. And that, right. You know, I could be a full-time 24-hour channeler of sorts, or I can continue to explore my life in ways that I'm doing, which is to not be doing this full-time, but to explore the other subtleties of my experience. And so right. This is an explanation of the relativity so that it can feel in balance more.
So what I'm thinking, and because they're still there too, is, you know, I totally agree. I mean, maybe we could use the Diamonds show to come do, you know, there's some blog talks that have been, you know, a healer. They would come and do mini readings or activations on there, and then the audience that would come there would learn about you, and then that would then have an avenue for you to, you know, to come. They could call for
sure.
private readings or a group reading. They could do something like that.
Sure.
And all along, you know, people that stumble onto the Diamonds line or something, you know, nothing happens by accident. Then they're ready to, you know, take a leap, for, you know, for instance, and then, you know, stuff like that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I guess in this time as well, I want to welcome those who would like me to share in public spaces. To just let me know. You know, obviously there are lots of things that I can perceive, but for the most part, my intention, for the most part, is to help people find this way of finding this information for themselves and find or offer as an example that they can.
Absolutely. And I know your heart, Julian. That's awesome. And also I want to say, since the Pleiadians and the other races said, you know, it could come up as a planned session or a spontaneous one, you know, if you ever want to do a spontaneous one or they want to, you're more than welcome to get a hold of me and we can do another recording and put it through the whole world, huh? And,
very good.
Yes.
Very good.
I just want to ask them one more question. Is there anything out of their free will choice, anything by listening to this call or any time, do they want to share with us? Any kind of wisdom they want to share with us or anything? A free-for-all.
There is a very large range, and you'll just hear whatever my intention, Julian's intention, wants to see come forward most. But since this is your space, offer a bit more context to that, as in refine the offering to perhaps a specific area of thought.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to share out of your heart as you observe us, you know, being the observers and wanting to learn more deeper from humanity on Earth?
Pleiadian specific?
Huh?
Pleiadian specific?
No, from anybody.
Well, it's Pleiadian speaking up anyhow.
Okay.
There is a way to connect with them more psychically, and that's simply by offering yourself to be perceived by them. Now, in my case, they can follow my life because they have sort of like a camera that's not physical, that you can't see in this density, but it can read our density, and it records my life 24 hours a day. And there are people that go through and make highlight reels and whatnot, and they share experiences they go through, and it affects them very, very significantly, observing a human life. They're letting the people listening now that you can establish this contract with them to have your life shared with them. And observe your life, and you can speak to them once you've speak to them more easily once you've established this this sort of camera. It's important to note that the parameters are entirely up to you. Since it's an offer from you, it would be generally a one-way connection until you found your own balance and have been able to hear them. So if you're okay with perhaps at start it being a one-way connection, you can really offer them a lot. And the ways to do this would be to write it in a bit of like a contract, a contractual form of, you know, when and where and how they may observe you, and what circumstances you're willing to share yourself. Some people may be willing to share everything they experience, and some people may, you know, want them to stay out of the bathroom when they're in there using the potty or something. But note that there are ways to write a contract. You can write them in your mind, you can write them physically, or you can speak them aloud. And in that way, you really can serve them in a really larger capacity to observe the gamut of what people who are probably listening to this are going through and through their own transition. You see, they still observe and develop empathy for us by being observers. And then they share with the larger Pleiadian collective, and that goes on to affect, you know, many, many millions of individuals, in some cases billions, depending on the experiences experienced here on Earth. So it has a cascade effect. And if you want to offer to that, you can, even before they make physical contact with you.
Wow, that is beautiful. I'm glad you guys brought that up, because That's exactly my heart and what I foresee for humanity. The next step is talking with you guys in this kind of stage, so to speak. And we talk back and forth, and the first step would be getting to, learn about how we would communicate with you back and forth on both of our sides. So that is awesome. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Julian.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else you want to share, Julian? And then I want you to give all your contacts and stuff.
Well, for the moment, I am getting a little bit stiff. So I'll just share.
We've had a marathon call. It's been almost 3 hours. It's been awesome. And this will go around the world, beyond the world, beyond Earth. It will. I declare it. It already has. So thank you so much, Julian. Thank you for everybody who's attended, who will listen to the recording, and galactic-wise, brothers and sisters, and in the dimensions. So, yes, give your information. And then I want to just end this with a couple small readings regarding declaring our sovereignty, encouragement. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, my website is julianwells.com. And Julian is spelled with an E, so JulienWells.com. One of my greatest friends, Crystal, here, is working to help me upgrade that website. So it is still in transition in terms of becoming more useful. I have a YouTube channel, which should be pretty easy to find. And I have a session booking site. That's jwsessions.simplybook.me. And you can book sessions there where we can do a Skype session where we make a recording that you can have, or we can do phone sessions. And, invite anyone who's interested to friend me on Facebook. I talk about lots of things like this all the time. I'm sure a lot of your listeners here are already friends with me on Facebook. But, feel free to ping me with questions there, and I'll answer them as I can. And my Facebook profile is not public yet, so as I still operate within a 3D role and with the old world program, I still have a 9 to 5, so I'm not fully available at this time to be completely available. So I hope you understand that. But as it serves, I'll be there, I'm sure.
Absolutely. And that's Julian. They can Facebook friend you, right?
Yes. And
that's Julian, Julien, Wells, like a deep well.
Yes.
That Julian is WELLS on Facebook. And I have a lot of Julian's contact information on the blog, on the Diamonds with an S Forever 31.blogspot.com, the blog that was blogged on Thursday, June 12th. And that title is Get Ready, Saturday, June 14th, and this is our update here. And you scroll down, you will see, if you scroll down, I will place the link in right after the pictures of the Pleiadians. You'll have a link there for this call. Just hit that, and you can listen to the call. It takes a few minutes to download on your lower left side of the computer, and you can play it or save it in your files in your computer, I guess. International numbers are below that. Anybody around the world could call in, and they have to call on the recorded line, or you can listen to it on the computer. So then Julia's information is all under there, too.
Yeah. I've also been on a radio show that lasted for over a year every Saturday called The Transitioning with Bob Wright and with Carmel Bigliore. And there's archives on Blog Talk Radio. It's called The Transitioning. And it was with the 5D Media Network. And I've put up quite a few of them on YouTube, and I continue with Crystal's help to put details as to what each show was, because it's a 2-hour show. But currently is not on the air. but may resurface again. And anyhow, if you like listening to me, you can find hundreds of hours, I believe, there too. So
absolutely. You're going to put those shows on your YouTube channel too, aren't you, Julian? You should.
Over time, I will be. Yep, I have several up there right now, but the archives are available on Blog Talk Radio. So you'll look up the transitioning, and that will be with the 5D Media Network. It goes back. I think the show was stopped about a month or two ago, but it goes on till about this time last year or something. Every Saturday.
Yeah, and there is a link on the blog here. One of the, I believe, is a transitioning show. There's on there too. So, otherwise, you can go to Blog Talk, put in the search bar, and put the transitioning.
Yeah, the transitioning. The last show, I'm being told by Crystal, was April 26th. Was the last show. If you wanted to hear it.
Okay, good.
And then you'll go back every Saturday before then.
Yeah. And I don't know why you say, Julian, resurface. We're all morphing. You're going on to the next thing. The next thing you're creating, guy. which is more astounding than the last, right? Because we're expanding.
Yeah, it's always exciting for me. I think my journey over the last 2 years has really sparked an interest in living. In
what?
In living.
Oh, living,
really
okay.
Living. I had, depression, bouts of depression before that, and
yes,
had personal problems as most people do in relationships and whatnot. But the last 2 years has really given me all new reasons for exploring life, really.
And life abundantly.
Yeah.
Right?
Really abundantly.
Life abundantly. You're into life abundantly. You're from depression, oppression, believe me, been there, done it, to life, and then more life abundantly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've been hospitalized several occasions by having an illness like IBS, and that has really been a catalyst, that illness, as it had been, which I no longer suffer from now.
Absolutely. Glory to God. Glory. Yes. Awesome. We're in deep in the transitioning time of what I call love, peace, and joy turning to bliss, happiness, like our Declaration of Independence says, in the pursuit of happiness, and that is really true, believe it or not.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
That's basically it.
Basically it, right?
We discover our truth. Our truth is our personal dimensional realm. Although we relate ourselves to others, that's more for the sake of exploring. We have others in our reality to explore and build perspective within. But in the end, we've invited them there specifically, so it's still all entirely our world. Talk about dimensions, and yet they're all extremely personal. The dimensions that people are probably familiar with are where there's sort of rules to reality that we've all agreed on. That's probably the dimensions that most people use.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking you're still going to be getting some updates of this. We'll follow this whole storyline through. You know, the people
whatever
there.
Comes up, it usually gets kind of intense for me not to. So I tend to kind of burst out with some stuff.
Yes. So when the timing's right, all in perfect timing. Thank you so much for all of this, Julian. This is just astounding for all of humanity.
Very welcome.
And we'll stay in touch, I'm sure.
Mhm.
And you enjoy the rest of your day, and know you're all energized up with that energy that you gave out today, and you're getting back. And take care of them, our friends, Pleiadians, and all of you. Take good care of Julian. Bless him, and bless Crystal and all his family and everybody around him. And I just ask for only the highest good of all concerned to happen in Julian, and his family, his daughter, and all of who he cares about, and all of you that are on the Diamond Show. Only the highest good of all concerned happen. And we ask that for all of humanity, in the ones in contrast, and all of us, every single player on this earth, we ask that for, and beyond, and galactic-wise, and multiverse-wise. Only the highest good of all concerned happen, right? So be it.
That's cool.
Yes. So until another time, huh, Julian?
Until next time.
Until next time. Now I'm just going to read this if you want to listen, if you're inclined to. Thank you so much, Julian, and everybody. This has been a fantastic, awesome. I don't want to say show because it's not a show; it's a truth. But let me just end with this. I believe these are just kind of some awesome wisdom words also. And there's a picture I saw. It says, "Wake up, America." And there's a call, for lack of better words, a hippie guy, long, black, dark, brown, black hair, holding up a sign in the middle of a street. And I see behind him a man dressed up, wearing red, white, and blue balloons with stars. And he says, the sign says, "Don't let a corrupt media and criminal government continue to brainwash you. Think for yourself, America, while you still can." But these writings were released by Andrew Bartitz, and I think they're just profound, and they kind of go with, the times here. So let me just read. It says, "Last year, 2013, I was asked what true sovereignty is. This is my response. Sovereignty starts in your heart, where you get out of your mind and you sit in the seat of your heart and realize that you are in charge of this hologram that is this world. We all are sharing a reality, and when you stop sharing your own reality for long enough to stand up and say, no, I don't consent to propaganda. I do not consent to construction to destroy the rainforest. I do not consent to a reality that harvests energy of its people. I do not consent to the murder and slaughter of people worldwide. When you say no and stand up in the boundaries of no that you created and say, I want change, in the mighty I am presence, co-creative, procreative self, you have the balls or the ovaries to stand into your convictions and make change. True sovereignty is standing with compassion and forgiveness for yourself and for all the things you had to do when domination and control as a system was your only option, until you began an awakening process that showed you a second, a third, a fourth option, until finally in sovereignty you realize you have an infinite amount of options, because you are an infinite, manifesting, co-creating being in the seat of power. And I'll add, the word is limitless. Connected to your dream world, connected to your true inspiration. You let your past be your teacher, the present be your creation, and your future be your inspiration. And in inspiration does not turn into hope, toxic hope, when you allow yourself to live in the moment. Living in the moment is acting in self-control, self-accord, allowing self-nurturing, allowing others that need nurturing so you can train them to self-nurture, allowing yourself to take time to heal, truly understanding what the words healing really means. And once you're healed enough, it's time to get out and act. You begin to help others go through the same sovereignty process so that they can define their boundaries and say, yes, this is what I want in my reality, and no, I don't want this in my reality. And when you, the individual, stand in the seat of your heart and have compassion and forgiveness for yourself and compassion and forgiveness for everyone that's in service to the system of domination and control, we create change. And in that change is sovereignty. And in that sovereignty, we stand in unity. And in that unity, we create unity consciousness. In unity consciousness, no one is left behind. No one. No light, no dark, no neutral. Everyone is in unity consciousness. And as something that all of the different industries out there that are promoting the consciousness change will have to come to terms with in their own self as they create their own sovereign boundaries. No one is left behind. As long as there is a hierarchical order, there will be no unity consciousness. In unity consciousness, there is no hierarchical order. Everyone is equal. And in equality, there is no hierarchy. And who knows what show this quote of mine came from? Okay, that was a question there. Isn't that beautiful? And let me just read the other one. All beings incarnating on Earth, Mother, now have a great precipice in front of them, a choice of such great magnitude that it makes them seem small and unworthy of the change at hand. At this exact moment in disunity time, countless millions of people are sitting in confusion and despair. It is this state that unity mind wishes to heal. The feeling of loneliness and the magnitude of the choice at hand. When in fact the choice is very small, create a new way out or stay in the old paradigm until you are ready to come into the power of a global Dreamtime society. The global Dreamtime awaits those in unity with the heart space for all mankind. No one is left out of this dream. We all dream together as a species in unity with our Earth Mother. It is with the two-legged grasp of nature to know Dreamtime at this level of awareness. Those who currently have no frame of culture or daily reference to dreams will soon learn the way of a dreaming once again. It is the birthright of all who incarnate on this world to have dreams. Me dreaming you, you dreaming me, all of us dreaming the dream in oneness. Okay, the time of the shift has come and gone. It is now with our own grasp to make it stick. Coming together means setting aside differences more than the usual ways. Teachers, thinkers, and healers will have to learn there are many systems to this world. There is no single belief system that can operate here on Earth. It is counter to everything that is unity. That is the big lie in domination and control. We believe our belief system until we change the very nature of our belief systems. If one cannot adapt to the new world, then the old world will become you with open arms of domination and control. Free will, co-creative, procreative beings admire the use of all systems to enhance the experiential nature of our reality. And I'm almost down here at the bottom. We are at a time in human consciousness development where factions are more potent and destructive than disunity. Factions are our own disunity creations that have been subtly manipulated over many generations. Factions have been passed down from generation to generation. This passing down of disunity wisdom is the nature of domination and control. Who are you? What are you? How does this world interact with sentience? Is sentience measurable? Question asked every generation of people since the dawn of time. So generations deep in the past learned why. Now we have amnesia and can barely remember who we are, where or will be. Remnants of old societies eat away at the edge of our awareness, seeping through dreams into a world created for our future selves, going through the trauma of forgetting who we are, who we were. Now we are at the point of remembering a portion of who we are as a collective species. Factions and groups have formed belief systems and set up the table of disunity negotiations into oneness. This is the old paradigm. It will never work until we get to the core of individual experiences. No group can negotiate unity consciousness. Only the many can experience it. Until more and more individuals share their experience in oneness as a being living in disunity, there is no comparison in human injustices, in human linguistics. We are so limited we can't even explain our experience to anyone who has not gone down the path. We are so separated as a species, we have no identity. How do we resemble Earth's children's identity? Where do we start? Where do we start? Do we start as individuals or as a collection of collectives coming together in our truth? We will thrive even. No matter who you are, source stream or homeless man, using one system of belief in the new world is disunity, domination and control of yourself. If you cannot come to the a la carte table of belief systems of the new world, then the new world is not for you. Using one system to process fear or expectation limits you to the single belief system. Unity means we process each other with all systems in the toolbox. No one person is right or wrong. To believe right or wrong is judgment, and judgment will be the biggest thing everyone must overcome. Judgment, on the most subtle levels, is the foundation of domination and control. It cannot exist without it. Each system created within the disunity reality as a subtle judgment clause. Learning how it sneaks in will be the toughest thing each and every person will learn. Unity, and let me add, you'll learn that through your experiences through your life every day, little by little, and then you put the puzzle together, like Julian talked about earlier. Almost done, couple sentences. Unity consciousness has no judgments, just existence of creation and free thought. Me adding, just enjoy your experiences every day in the now moment. Me adding, start playing. You know, like Franco Di Niccolo says, it's time to play. So unity consciousness has no judgment, just existence of creation and free thought. Come together with a great potluck dinner or belief system and share with everyone you know your toolbox. You never know, someone who never tried sushi may just like it, if the company is right. You are the resistance of free earth. Stand up for your rights. Set aside factions and groups created in disunity. Come together in unity and cross-pollinate all the toolboxes. So, very much inspiration in that. Very, very much inspiration in this whole sharing today. Thank you, Julian. Thank you, Pleiadians. Thank you, all races that are here. Thank you, everybody that attended and that will listen. I love you so much. Don't forget the Diamonds with an S forever31.blogspot.com, where I post regarding the world changes each week. And let me just say the reference number again is 150-pound, and the recorded line 209-255-1099. And don't forget Thursday's World News Update, 30-minute Diamonds Forever on Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. And next week is Franco Di Niccolo. Another awesome call. They're all awesome. Everybody's call is awesome. We're all learning. So once again, blessings of love, peace, and joy, turning to bliss to you and your families and all of you. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.